Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Nights with Ebon Pinion. Today, we're interviewing our author, Mark Alexander McClish, and talking about his best-selling and award-winning novel, Adhara, Sonder, as well as all of the wonderful and exciting things Mark has going on since he started working with and for Curious Corvid. So hello, Mark, and welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So it's so exciting to be here with you and talk about everything that you have had going on. And you've had quite a bit happen just in this year. So let's just dive right into it. First, you last year signed with Curious Corvid, and we just came up on your 1 year anniversary, which is really
That's right.
exciting. And your debut novel, Adhara Sonder, arrived everywhere. There it is beautiful.
Thank you.
Arrived everywhere December 1st last year. And it climbed Amazon rankings and became a #1 bestseller, which was so exciting to see happen. And this story, one of my favorite things to talk about it is when I received your submission and read through it. And I never really considered myself to be a sci-fi kind of a girl, but I just was so smitten with your story, with your vivid imagery and your illustrations and the unique and diverse cast of characters that you have in your novel. So let's talk a little bit about Adhara Sonder and what prompted you to write it. How did you come up with this idea to even get started?
It's a good question. It's kind of I was thinking about this the other day, actually. I don't remember why, but I thought of the answer that I want to give circumstantially. And Adhara Sonder was two different ideas converging together. I'm a big believer in that a fully fleshed out idea. I have other ideas for books, and all of them are multiple good ideas combined into one, because I think that gives it more dimension. So Adhara Sonder is the two ideas that it is coming from this direction. We have the feeling of being surrounded in a world filled with problems that you know how to fix and feeling helpless to fix them, and exploring the idea of what if you just suddenly one day had free reign to fix them, and you had the power, you had the responsibility. Could you do a good job? Would you make it better? Would you make it worse? Would it be more difficult than you expected? What would be the ramifications of that? And then on the other side of things, in Adhara Sonder, if you read a couple of chapters in, you read about a looming threat called Anubis. This Anubis is supposed to there's an element of time travel, and so the looming threat is that Anubis is going to destroy the city that they're in using guerrilla warfare, basically starting a civil war. And so it's sort of the philosophical question, the classic question surrounding time travel. If you had the ability to time travel, would you go back in time and kill Hitler, essentially? Would you go back in time, and if you were trying to stop something bad before it happened, how would you do it? Do you believe morally that it's okay to punish someone for a crime they haven't committed yet? Or would you take the approach of trying to repair them, trying to fix a broken person before they become broken enough to do horrible things? So I take the approach of trying to fix it. I believe that evil is like a weed. It grows in cracks of neglect. And if you fix the small problems, it doesn't snowball into a big problem. So those two ideas converging together are what makes Adhara Sonder. Adhara Sonder has action elements, but really the boring truth of what Adhara Sonder is about is it's about maintenance.
I really appreciate that idea though. And when Cyrus is uh, going through the city and he's making repairs and he's just trying to fix things little by little, I like that message of community and fixing your community and working in your community to make the world a better place. And that if you're working hard to enrich your inner world and then your personal world and then your community, it is a ripple effect and it just touches everybody and it
Right.
helps everything get a little bit better a little bit at a time.
And Cyrus's fatal flaw, I'll say one of his fatal flaws. I'm sure an argument could be made that he had more than one, but I think one of his most important fatal flaws was that he wasn't satisfied with the maintenance. He wanted something big, he wanted something flashy, and he tried to go after that instead of understanding the value of just doing a little bit at a time behind the scenes.
Yeah, I agree. I think another thing that is so interesting about your book is that you have characters with disabilities. And there's a really nice representation in your book. For instance, we have a main character who's deaf and who communicates with sign language.
Right. Well, I think that a certain amount of realism and knowing how much realism to use in science fiction and fantasy is very important. I ascribe to the philosophy in writing that you should have a flux capacitor. You have one thing that breaks the laws of physics in a very defined and predictable way. And other than that, you keep it as realistic as you know how to. And so in a city like in a city like Hudson City, where Adhara Sonder takes place, the idea is that there are little small disasters happening all the time, like little gas leaks and explosions, little explosions, water leaks, buildings crumbling, just like things falling apart. In a city like that, an environment like that, it would have been unrealistic to not include disability to people. And it would have been very obvious erasure, because in situations like that, people are going to get injured, people are going to get hurt, and there's going to be lasting damage from that. A lot of times authors will write about injuries and they use magic healing. I don't mean literal magic healing. I mean, they don't give them enough time to heal properly, and they let them heal properly when they shouldn't.
I think that representation is important when you're writing, and having diverse characters and life experiences and everything. And I think that's something you captured really well in your book. And I think that's one of the reasons why your characters are so identifiable and relatable, because you worked really hard to make them real. And I think we've talked about this before, but when you were creating your characters, I think you used a lot of your real life interactions to create them and help bring that dimension to them.
I did, yeah. They're all based off of my characters are a combination of three things. Here's my magic formula. First part is a part of me. I can't write effectively about a character if I can't relate to some aspect of their perspective. So I put a little of myself in each character. So I break myself apart and I give them names. Then I add in a little bit of something from somebody else. Is the thing beyond me, thing outside of me. And then the third part is what characteristics they need to have to be in the story. So, to example, the character of Donnie. Donnie is based off of. I'm sorry if my voice through notification connection is stable. Donnie is based off of my friend Leonard, but only a little bit. Leonard is not actually he doesn't actually have the attitude, the sarcasm that Donnie has. Not as much. I exaggerated that quality. Also, Donnie, we learn later in the book, this is a little bit of a spoiler. Donnie has sustained a significant knee injury. And so throughout most of the book, you think that Donnie's lazy, but really it's just that Donnie doesn't like to be on his feet for any longer than he needs to be. And that's a very real aspect of disability that people don't understand and people don't listen to very often. But it would be a very real type of person, a demographic, if you will, that would exist in a city like this, is people who don't seem to have disabilities, but if you're around them for long enough, you see the pain that they're going through, the chronic pain. Right. So you have that, and you have aspects of like my friend that he's based off of is a thespian. Donnie is a thespian, and he's got a lot of flair, he's got a lot of style, and then he has the sarcasm that he needs, and that's mostly from me. Amalgams, and that's how I write dimensional characters. What's that?
I said you sarcastic? No.
Never on camera.
So besides writing a wonderful story that is captivating and interesting, you also designed the cover for it as well as did all the illustrations because you just are a man of many talents.
I am. I can't help it. I like a lot of things, and I don't want to pick between those things, so I just do all of them a little bit. I tell myself, as a lot of people tell themselves, jack of all trades, master of none, better than a master of one.
Exactly.
So here's a little sneak peek. Adhara Sonder follows Cyrus, as we mentioned, who is an inventor, and he designs a piece of equipment called the Philosopher's Gauntlets, and there's an illustration of them right there. Basically, an arm-mounted chemical reactor.
So your book came out in December 1st last year, and
Right.
then it was nominated for several different categories in the Next Generation Indie Book Awards, which is the largest international indie book award event for everybody who's in the indie community. They do all different kinds of genres and categories. It's a very exciting and very big ordeal. And I think we entered yours into like 5 different categories, and you ended up placing as a finalist in science fiction, which is no surprise to me because I think your book is wonderful. But it was very exciting.
A surprise to me.
It's very exciting because science fiction is such a huge genre to write in, and you have lots of competition and lots of diverse authors and storylines. And here you were a finalist, an international finalist. And you got to go to Washington, D.C. to get your award, and you got a medal.
That's right. I did. In fact, let me grab it real quick. Should have grabbed this before we started, but here it is. All its glory. I put it in a nice little frame with my sort of a little scrapbook frame.
Oh, that's very nice.
Got the Curious Corvid pin there. Got my bookmark. They gave us a nice pin here. There's my magnetic name tag. Not even a pin name tag, a magnetic name tag, which is very fancy.
That is fancy.
Little lanyard. And then we were in DC, so we took the smart card stuff. We took the subway. That's what I'm trying to say. And there's the medal. It's a very nice medal, very nice production quality. I appreciate
that. That is really nice.
Nice of them to make that. And yeah, it is, like you said, a very big organization. They said while we were there in DC for the award ceremony, they said that they got submissions from every US state, 9 of the 10 Canadian provinces, and 61 other countries. And
in all of those people, your book, your first book, your debut novel, placed as a finalist.
In science fiction, which was the category that I least expected it to.
That was it's so impressive though. And I think that really speaks to your abilities as a creator, because not only is your book beautiful to look at, but you have an excellent storyline and great content that obviously is approved by many people. So
thank you. I worked very hard on it. And I think that Adhara Sonder is one of those books that you have to finish to appreciate. I'm not sure all the people out there. Adhara Sonder has a pretty significant plot twist. It has more than one plot twist. There's a lot of twisting at the end, subversion of expectations, if you will. And the book, I think, is really made by its ending. Adhara Sonder is not Adhara Sonder without its ending. The meaning of the title, the essence of the message that I'm trying to give in the book is all wrapped up in the ending. So I'm sure there are some people out there who have gotten the book and haven't been able to really get into it. And I gotta say, I have to encourage you, finish the book. Just get it. I promise it'll grab a hold of you about here, if not sooner, and you will see what all the buzz is about if you finish it.
Absolutely. And so in your book, we have a lot of science stuff going on. Yep. We have lots of really cool gadgets, chemical reactions, just all kinds of really neat things. Some things that might everyday people might not necessarily understand or be familiar with. And to combat that and kind of give people a really personalized and easy access to your book, you've created the Adhara Sonder Comprehensive Edition.
That's right.
And that comes out on the anniversary of Adhara Sonder, December 1st of this year.
That's right. I need to work on that. I need to work on some more illustrations.
I think
that is going to be a pretty big project.
I think it's going to be a really nice addition to Adhara Sonder in general, and giving people I could see that being used in schools to help teach science, and everything, because so much of what you have in the book is based on real things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I tried to only stretch science a little bit, not any more than I had to. But yeah, a lot of the science in Adhara Sonder is based off of real science. If it is just exaggerated a little bit, it's based in the concept. And I try to explain it in a way that is easy enough to understand. I minored in chemistry, and I fell in love with chemistry in high school, just understanding the way that things in the world around me worked. Like one of the simplest chemical reactions in the world, honestly, is one of the first reactions that Cyrus does, and very few people know about it. It's electrolysis of water. If you run an electric current through water, it splits it into hydrogen and oxygen, which are both very flammable gases, essentially rocket fuel. And when I first saw that experiment when I was in high school, it just lit me on fire, pun intended. It was amazing. I thought there's so much out there that people don't know about that makes science really exciting and really cool. And so Cyrus goes through a lot of those things. But inevitably, a lot of people read my book and complained about the jargon, the technical language and things. So yeah, I'm releasing the comprehensive edition for people who don't have as much familiarity with science, and it'll include things like a glossary and index. It'll include, like, I'm a big fan of chapter headers, and so each chapter has an illustration of it explaining some concept that's relevant in the book. You can't see it very well because it's a little faint. There you go. Now you can get a view of it. And so I'll be including a little, just like a 3/4 of a page article explaining a little more in each one for people who are interested in the science and want explanations of how it works.
I think that's going to be really cool. I'm very excited about it. I was excited for Adhara Sonder, just, not the basic form of it, but honestly, the very beginning of it. So I'm excited to see this development and this, really exploration of it, really, in general. So you're now an award-winning, best-selling author at the ripe age of 25.
Getting up there.
And besides your own writing and your own storyline, you have taken on a whole lot of work for Curious Corvid too. You're rebranding us, redoing our website, lots of different stuff, spearheading the Magpie Messenger, our new literary journal. So how did I have to ask, because I've always wanted to ask, but how was the transition from just being an author to being like an actual partner of Curious Corvid? What made you decide that this was something you wanted to invest in?
It's a good question. I have a thorough answer because I remember. As you know, my main job, my primary income was, until very recently, I'm now going to be teaching graphic design in high school. But before that, I was a freelance graphic designer. And so when you and I first started working together and I signed on as an author, you found out that I had done stuff that you would normally do. I had already done all the illustration and I'd gotten the formatting done. My mother did that. She's a very talented formatter, been working on it for a long time. She's very good at what she does. And I had already done the book cover even. And so since you knew that I had already done those things and I had experience with that, you asked me if I would be up for doing that sometimes for other books. And yeah, absolutely. I would love to. My favorite kind of clients to work with is other artists, people who are creating things. I work with a community theater in my area a lot. And so working with authors has been great as well. So I was happy for the chance. And then when Curious Corvid was scheduled to go to the LA Times Festival of Books this spring, I was thinking about, okay, this is a really good opportunity for my book and everyone else's book to get out there. And I tend to be a team player. You know, I like working in a group. I like cooperation over competition. This opportunity, what can I do to help? And I saw the website and I thought, I could redesign the website. I have experience working with websites. I've designed some websites. I'm not a developer by any means, but I know how to make a pretty looking website. And so I approached you, you'll remember, and I asked you, hey, how do you feel about your current experience with your website? And I don't remember what you said exactly, but it was to the effect of, I hate it. It's a pain to work with. Why? And I said, how would you feel about me redesigning the website? And when it comes to like a rebranding campaign, if you work on a website, everything else just kind of falls into place. You liked the website, and so you kept having work for me. Either you would say, hey, can you make this? Or I would say, hey, can I make this? And honestly, what it all came down to is I enjoyed working with you. And so I kept saying yes, or I kept asking for more work. You liked the work that I made. I liked making the work that I made. We both enjoyed it and we worked together well. And so we just kept doing it. We kept thinking of more and more ideas and kept following through on them.
Yes. And it's been amazing what's come out of it since then. I mean, when we were preparing for the LA Times Festival, you designed our business cards, our invitation cards, our member of a murder buttons, several of the bookmarks. And it was just a complete overhaul. And all of a sudden, what was Curious Corvid, I felt like it had like a breath of life put into it, where it just kind of like finally like stood on its own, and it was like its own entity, like outside of me. And it was so exciting to just see that vision come alive. So, and because you obviously, have enough on your plate already, then you had the idea for the Magpie Messenger.
Yeah, I always I tell a lot of my friends who I bug with new ideas all the time, I tell them the idea factory doesn't shut off. I just have to get the ideas out there. Sometimes I don't follow through, but if I stop thinking about ideas, then I stop thinking of ideas. You know what I mean? Like, yes. It's kind of like with writing. If you stop writing, you get not good at writing anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you get rusty. So my job is to be creative. My job is to think of ideas, think of new possibilities of ways to not just with Curious Corvid. Curious Corvid has been the greatest experience that I've had so far in exercising that, but in everything is to think of new ideas, how to get bigger, better, how to improve, how to grow. And the Magpie Messenger came about of me thinking Raven has built a table and she wants to invite as many people as she can to that table, but Raven is one person. Raven can't have an infinite number of people. And as Curious Corvid grows and becomes more popular, more and more people are going to want to sit at the table. So how can we invite them into the table without completely overwhelming ourselves with work and with books? So literary magazine, like the old masters used to do. Charles Dickens, Edgar Allan Poe, many others would submit their work one chapter at a time to a Magpie Messenger. So it's just another avenue, and another avenue for revenue, of course, is very important for a business to stay afloat and continue existing. But also another avenue for artists to get their work out there and grow the community and grow the network of Curious Corvid Publishing.
I think it's a wonderful opportunity. And when you designed the cover and sent it to me, I was like, I remember thinking to myself, well, I can't say no now. And I'm glad that I did it. And I'm glad that we made it, because it is just so beautiful. And it's I don't know how you come up with all of your ideas. But one thing I think is remarkable is that you seem to just know what people want and know what people like. And I think maybe you're just very intuitive when you're talking with people and figuring out what their style is. But every time I see you create something for somebody, it's just like, it's amazing what you're able to create and come up with. And I feel like you just always hit the mark, especially when it comes to making stuff for Curious Corbett. I'm always impressed.
Well, I get your aesthetic. I mean, it just makes sense to me. Your aesthetic is intuitive to me. But remember, it doesn't always work out that way. I mean, we've had a couple of authors that I've worked with, and I just, what they were wanting was not the kind of style that's in my wheelhouse. But where that comes from is I have a lot of experience working in this. I mean, I've been a freelance graphic designer for about 6 years, and I know the right questions to ask. Very few people know exactly what to ask for. Almost every client I've ever worked with has the mentality of, I don't know what I want, but I'll know it when I see it. And so I have to know, a big part of my job is to know the right questions to ask, to probe, to figure out what they're looking for, to show examples. Some people are easier than others, but knowing what to make is just really, it comes with experience. It's a matter of communication, asking people the right questions and adjusting based on that.
So as an up and coming author, bestseller, award winner, and amazing graphic designer, what is some advice that you have for other people who are either writing or just creative in general in the industry? Do you have any advice for them about how to do things or how to keep motivated?
Sure. I think two pieces of advice are what come to mind right now. First of all, put in the hours. It's old advice. Everybody's probably told you it. It makes a world of difference. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'll say it as many times as somebody will listen to me say it. The strongest and biggest trees grow the slowest. Growing a little bit at a time is far more sustainable and far stronger over time than growing really fast overnight. Fast overnight growth is unsustainable. It's true in working out. It's true in the arts. It's true in everything. It's true in social media presence. If somebody grows really fast overnight, they're probably going to collapse before long. So if you want to be good creatively, just do a little bit at a time. Your skills will grow. It'll seem passively. You just need to practice. 200 words a day is fine if you're writing. There's no rules. There's no rules in writing.
Right.
You write what you want to, and you will figure out what you want to write, because at the end of the day, you're writing for you. You write the book that you want to write. You write the book that you want to read. And that's how you stay true to yourself, because you can't write a book that will please everybody. It is not possible. You can't write a perfect book. So you write the book that you like. You write it for you. And other people who think like you do will find it and they will like it and they will see the value in it. But at the end of the day, you are only capable of writing the book that you want to write. Otherwise, it's somebody else's book and you've taken it away, which segues into my second piece of advice. Don't be afraid to steal. This applies to art and to writing. I'm not kidding. Plagiarism is wrong. Do not steal somebody else's work and try to pass it off as your own and try to sell it. That's wrong. But do not ever be afraid to steal someone else's work to practice with. I did that all the time when I was starting out with graphic design. I've traced so many different things. With the Magpie Messenger, this is one of the most recent things I've designed, okay? I literally went through a stack of magazines that I had. I flipped through them. I saw design elements that I like, and I stole them, and then I changed them until they were mine. That's all it is. That's the easiest way to go about something. You asked how I got my ideas. That's how I do it. When somebody says, I want this cover and I want this thing, I look up those things on Google Images. I see what resonates with me. I see that looks good, that doesn't look good. I'm going to do it like this. And then I put my own twist on it. If you put in the hours and you have that raw material to work with, and you work with that raw material, those raw ideas from other people, and you work with them and you work with them and you work with them, your own original style will come out of that inevitably.
I love that. Yes, I think that is really, I think that's a very good piece of advice. I think that's why it's important to read to be a good writer.
Yes.
Learning,
you got to have the raw material. You can't make a book out of nothing.
Absolutely not. So, wow. Well, I always love talking with you and learning about what you have going on. I find you to be a very inspirational person, and I just really enjoy working with you, and all of the ideas that you come up with saves me from having to come up with ideas, which is phenomenal.
Well, I think we've got plenty of ideas to work with right about now.
Yes, we do. So if anybody wanted to find your book, they can find it on Amazon, on Kindle, or Google it and find it there, and in all major bookstores, as well as signed copies on the Curious Corvid website. Oh,
That's
we
right.
also have it on Audible too.
Yeah, I was going to say the audiobook.
You worked very hard on that.
I did. I worked way harder than I should have, but that's life. You learn, and then the next time it's easier. That's the third piece of advice I would offer. It's always hardest the first time, so just do it, and then it gets easier.
That's true. I like that. That's very optimistic and hopeful. Like, you're going to be fine. Just stick it out. Yeah. You'll be okay.
And here's a fourth piece of advice. It's going to be bad the first time. Let it be bad. Embrace it being bad. Allow yourself to not be perfect. On your first draft, write worst version, and you will forgive yourself for so much. You can't write a perfect book, but you can fix an imperfect book.
I like that. That's very good advice. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me and talking about Adhara's Sonder, as well as all of the wonderful work that you're doing for Curious Corvid. It's all so exciting. If you would like to see a sample of the things that Mark has done for Curious Corvid, you can visit our website and scroll through and see all of the cool things that he's designed and made on our website, as well as links to all of our books and to the Magpie Messenger, which Mark has also designed. You can find the first edition on Amazon, or you can subscribe for $6 a month and get a discount and never miss out on an issue.
Wow, $6 a month. That's almost nothing.
I know. It's so exciting.
That's like Taco Bell a month.
See, it'll help you stay healthier. Sub the Taco Bell for some literary delight.
Yeah, read.
Oh, gosh. Well, thank you so much, Mark. And to anybody who is watching now or later, I hope you'll consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and following us on all of our major social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. And we have new content coming out all of the time. And if you subscribe to our newsletter on our website, you'll get all of the juicy information on free ebook promotions and upcoming tasty delights. So,
thanks for having me. Thanks for watching.
Remember, we may be different species, but we're all part of the same family. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and have a great rest of your week.
Bye.